Hello everyone, and welcome back to Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia Division HO scale layout. This is going to be a layout update for the months of like half of August, September, and October because, well, y'all probably know me pretty well by this point. I tend to get behind and not always get around to making videos, so we're a little bit behind. Didn't really get as much done. You guys already know that because I always say that because it's true. Didn't get as much as I wanted to get done with everything, but we do have some things to show and a little bit of progress has been made. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I show you what I've been up to on Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia Division. All right, everyone. So the biggest thing I probably got done on the layout this month, the biggest thing I have to show progress-wise is I actually got my signal bridges completed and assembled and over here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at these a little bit here. These have the Showcase Miniatures PRR CPL signal heads that you have to build yourself and put LEDs in and all that fun stuff. And I have them mounted to these old plastic kit signal bridges from NJ International. They were like $10. They're really cheap. So I want to go ahead and say that like these signal bridges aren't meant to be like a really fancy pants, what would you want to say, like a big show off, hey, look at me kind of thing. These are more or less just ones for me to learn on and learn how to do all the like little assembly stuff with these signal heads and do all the wiring and all that. In the long term, I would like to build like some of the photo etched ones that look really nice and are really, really super detailed and everything. But for this iteration of the O&WV division, I didn't see a purpose in spending a bunch of time and money trying to build some really, really high-end signal kits when eventually this layout's going to be torn down and rebuilt anyway. So I wanted something that if, you know, when that day comes and I have to tear this down, if it gets destroyed, it's not the end of the world because it was a cheap kit anyway. So that was kind of why I went with these. These are just, it's a lot of time and energy to build these signal heads and do all the wiring and everything. As you guys can tell, like the wires coming off the signal heads are kind of, you know, just cheesily run down the side and everything. I didn't get too carried away with trying to hide the wiring or any of that. But they are up, they are working to a degree. I do have a bit of an issue. I have the Azatrex signal system, which uses like the little infrared deals. And the problem I'm running into is on the opposite end of the layout, I have some signals I took out that I never unhooked any of the Azatrex stuff from. So right now I can only get like a stop signal or a restricting signal because going that direction on the railroad, you know, going that way, ooh, I currently it's goofed up down there, so I have to get those signals built and put back in so that way I could get the signal system working right. But for the purposes of what I wanted to do right now, these are up, these are working, and they're kind of how I want them. The big thing I still have to change is right now these signals need to be raised up. The signal bridges do. And Conrail, I remember seeing pictures. I'll have to see if I could find one and put it in right here in this part of the video, where they would use like a giant corrugated pipe kind of deal, and they would put that down and like make a base to raise up a signal with. And I would like to do that with both of these signal bridges just to get them a little bit higher and get them to look like what I want. But I have to find that corrugated pipe to build it with, so that's going to be a little bit of effort. But I'm sure once I find that, I could get that in. I could kind of build these up a little bit and make them look how I want to. But here's our first signal. As you can see, I went with like a silver kind of paint on this one. And let me go ahead and I'll flip the camera around and I'll show you the other one here as well. And here we are looking the opposite direction here at our other signal bridge. Now, of course, my little box here, the one leg broke off of, so I'll have to glue that back on. Because, of course, you know, anytime you try and do something, it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So that was kind of the big project with these signals and the big project I did on the layout this month. I also did some minor track repairs and little things just to try and get it to where I could run trains in a circle again. Because that's kind of the end goal here, guys, is to run trains in a circle and watch them go by in a circle. I'm not like a big operations guy. I'm pretty simple when it comes to that. I just like to watch my trains go by and rail fan them. So that was the big stuff with this. As you guys saw in the intro part, I'm sure I showed the slug sets running. So let me go ahead and rearrange things a little bit and talk to you guys about those. All right, so through the magic of editing, I'm going to have to zoom this in a little bit. But a bit of a problem I had was with the 6950 and the 1100. For some reason, the couplers ended up high on some of the slugs on certain ends. I don't quite know why. I think some of it might be the coupler itself bending, but either way, every time I tried to run these, they kept uncoupling. So I ended up having to do some modification on the slug to get the coupler to sit a little bit lower. It's not perfect by any stretch, but I have it now to where I can actually run a lap on the layout with it, and it's not a problem. I didn't just have a problem with this unit. I also had the same problem here with the 6943 and the 1123. Again, if you zoom in, you'll see that coupler's sitting a little bit high. And again, I had to fiddle with it a good bit and try filing down a little bit to try and get it to sit lower. It's still not perfect. It's still not right. I believe I mentioned when I was talking about these last that these shells for some reason have a little bit of a warp to them, but it just kind of is what it is. I'll live with it. But I've gotten that fixed and everything's running all right there. I do have some other slug related issues that we'll get into here in a minute. All right, so next up on our list here, we have the 6946 and the 1122. And I had really hoped to have these running in a video by now. And this might be kind of hard to see, but the coupler height actually is pretty solid on these. It's actually not bad. Unfortunately, for some reason, the 1122 has been giving me trouble. and I suspect it might be the wheels. I haven't really dug too far into it yet. The wheels just might be really dirty. But I have to go in, I have to try cleaning the wheels, and hopefully that'll fix it. And if that doesn't fix it, I might have to replace the wheels, because the SD35 I got this off of, if I remember right, was pretty well used, but I got it for dirt cheap. So the wheels might just be plumb wore out. I'm gonna have to play with it a little bit, but that's kind of been one of the frustrating things lately, is just stupid stuff like that. You know, you put all the time and effort into these, and then they'll just fight you for no reason when it comes time to run them. So that's kind of been my big hassles, trying to get these all the way up and running. And as I'm sure a lot of you can imagine, sometimes you just don't feel like messing with stuff like that, and that's kind of where I've been at. That's why I got the other two sets running, and now I got this one, and I got another set I got to do a couple height adjustment on. So that's kind of what's going on with the slug sets. Again, you guys should be seeing videos of them running and stuff here in this layout update, because I'm pretty happy with the ones that are running, but you know, we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's move on to our next bit of frustration here. All right, so next up here, we have a model I picked up on eBay, weathered by one of the Fancy Pants weathering people. One of the ones that I really kind of enjoy their work, and having something done by them is really cool. But I have a bit of a problem, and it's a Rapido problem. As you guys can tell, this is a B36-7 here. And like I said, I picked it up on eBay. I was kind of excited because it's really nicely weathered. It looks good, and it's actually something for a change. All I have to do is put a Keep Alive in, and I can program it and run it. And guys, if you believe it, I put the Keep Alive in there. You gotta like shorten the one speaker enclosure and stuff to make it work so it fits. And wouldn't you know, guys, now I can't get the marker lights to work without it wanting to die. I don't know why. I'm gonna go ahead on a little bit of a rant here with these, because these models from Rapido are probably some of my favorite models that have come out in the last 3 years, these B36-7s. Except for the fact that when you take the shell off, just the way they did everything in there just makes me bonkers. And I'll also say, out of the like 6 or 7 of these I have, every single one of them has fought me when it came time to programming it, and it's given me trouble trying to get the Keep Lives to work and do all that. And it's been very, very annoying. I tried pretty much using the same exact settings I had on the last B36-7s I did, and for some reason it's giving me that trouble with the marker lights. So I got to play around with the programming on this one, but hopefully this should be running and operational in the next layout video. It's just a matter of programming it and trying to get it to run right. So that's kind of been one of my more frustrating things here this last like 2 months now, is it seems like everything I try to do, it just fights me and turns around and ends up being a giant pain in the rear end. So let's go ahead and let's turn around here and take a quick look at the locomotive fleet situation. And then I'll give you guys kind of a brief update on what I'm thinking scenery-wise and stuff I'm gonna mess with, but we'll see what happens here. All right, everyone. So I've kind of talked about this in past layout updates, and I never really quite got around to actually doing as much of it as I wanted to. But if you look over here at our locomotive service area and locomotive shops, it's actually starting to thin out a little bit. I actually started putting things away finally. I know I've kind of talked about that a little bit this year in other layout updates. I really wanted to try to rotate some stuff out that's been on the layout for a long, long time, and kind of give me some room for some newer stuff. So right now, as it sits, pretty much everything out here, with the exception of the 6619 down there in the locomotive shop and the 6974, all these locomotives are ones I've done in like the last year and a half roughly. So everything's pretty fresh. The reason being, I just want to get some different stuff out here. I wanted to get some Dash 8s out here. As you see, we got the LMS ones and the Overland Brass and the Atlas ones sitting there. Also got my beloved ST45-2s, a couple slug sets down there, and that was kind of a big project, was just getting things put away, trying to find the right boxes for them and everything, and then labeling the boxes right, because some stuff I was kind of bad with, and I didn't really label the boxes all the way. And I'll also kind of throw in a picture right now here. I'll go ahead and do that so I remember where to put the picture at, of over here by my yard tower here, and you guys can see exactly how much I'm talking about when I say things are getting put away, because this area used to be all full of GP38s and GP38-2s, and you guys will see it's not full at all anymore. There's only 3 GP38s left out on the layout right now, And those will probably be out for another year before I rotate some other ones in. I'd like to build a few more GP38s. It's just a matter of getting the time and the right project, so to speak, to build. I kind of want to do some like Atlas Trainman GP38s, but we'll see what happens. Those will probably be next year, but I'd like to do some more, and I'd like to do like a build video on them and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens there, but that's kind of what's going on as far as like locomotives and all that stuff goes. Now I'm gonna give you guys kind of a brief walkthrough of some of the different scenery projects, and we'll see what I might dig into this next month. All right, everyone. So we're over here at the end of Sherman Yard, kind of coming over here into the mains. On the back here, we have our cement plant, and over here we have our paper mill. And right now, as it stands, I'm kind of leaning towards changing things up a little bit. I kind of want to pull out these two turnouts and redo this. I'm kind of on the fence as to exactly how I want to do it. I just know I want to do something different. I was contemplating possibly just putting a turnout in over here that comes out and then making this whole deal a siding down along here for the two industries. It'll be like a shared siding, so to speak. You know, like I could run a turnout off here into another turnout, and that'll give work both ways instead of having these two opposite facing turnouts. For any of you that know, I'm not really big on operations. It's not really my big thing. I do kind of fiddle around here and there, but I mainly just like running stuff on the main line. And I've redone all these curves, but these turnouts and all this still tends to be a pain in my rear end. So that's part of the reason I'm contemplating redoing it, is just to try and alleviate some of my track issues over here and get all that right. And honestly, guys, just to change it up a little bit, I just kind of feel like doing something different over here. I've redone the front half of this and these curves and everything, and I'm pretty happy with all that, but I haven't really done anything to address the back half of the layout. So that's kind of something I'm looking at messing with here this winter, probably more than likely. This probably wouldn't be too terribly big of a project. It would just be moving some trackage around, nothing too crazy, but we'll see. That's kind of project number one. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera here. Hopefully it won't make any noise. But so those of you that remember from last month's layout update, I was having a derailment issue back in over here, and knock on my bench work, that actually hasn't been a problem. I think maybe I managed to fiddle with this a little bit. I think what might have happened is some of this rail might have sank down a little bit and gotten uneven during the ballasting process, because I kind of went through and kind of lifted and pulled up a little bit and tried to level it out a little bit, and it's been pretty consistently good. I haven't had too many issues lately, but you never know. As soon as I say that, the next train I run, I want to derail over there, so I just got to keep playing with that. The biggest hassle is it's behind this little hill here, and it's kind of hard to see for sure exactly what the problem is, but that's kind of, you know, that's been fighting me a little bit, but so far so good this month. We'll see what happens in next month. You guys can also see the trailer train going around in the background. I'm not really going to talk about that because it's not done yet, but that's part of what I've been working on. There's a bunch of semi-trailers everywhere, so that's been a bit of a project. Hopefully you guys will see that next month, because I'm almost done with it finally. All right, next up here we have my bridge scene area. As you guys can tell, it's currently what I would call a pile spot. This is where everything kind of got thrown when I was redoing my curves and everything. I'm kind of trying to get an idea how I want to fill in these sides and stuff. I'm still kind of working on that and feeling it out a little bit, so that's why I haven't done anything with it. Once I get a little bit better idea on how I want to blend all this stuff on the sides in, that'll kind of make things a little bit smoother. I just haven't really had a good idea, and I don't want to rush this because I want this to turn out nice, so I'm kind of dragging my feet a little bit. I would like to get it done this winter. It's just a matter of, you know, like I mentioned, trying to get this figured out in my head to where I can see it and then build it. So hopefully we'll see some progress up here maybe in January or February, but we'll see. We'll see how everything else pans out this winter. All right, so now we're back over here at Sherman Junction, and another thing I've been kind of contemplating messing with is kind of the back half of everything here, like everything from this siding track back. I'm kind of contemplating taking out some of these light poles and then taking out one of these locomotive siding tracks back there, because I really don't use it. This has just mainly just been a static spot. I'd like to take one of those tracks out and maybe put in like a little driveway road. And then kind of the big thing, I'm kind of not sure whether I want to say I'm going to do this yet or not, but I'm actually kind of planning on replacing the tower here at Sherman Junction. I like this one, but it's just, I feel like doing something different, and changing it up a little bit. So I found a tower I really like the look of, and I ordered it. I just have to build it. So you guys will have to kind of stay tuned to next month to see if I get that done and over here. It'll look really, really sharp. It's a really, really nice kit. So I just kind of feel the urge to do something different over here. I want to change it up. Especially because I redid this whole front part, what was that, 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. I was very, very happy with how all this came out. And that just kind of leaves this back half that I originally did that I feel like needs an update and needs brought to my standards today. So that's going to be another project we hopefully will tackle here this winter, provided I can get to it. We'll see what happens, but that's kind of the big thing. I'd kind of like to tie doing this back part in to doing the bridge scene, which is right next to it here. You guys didn't know, there's the bridges. I kind of want to tie those two together because I think if I get rolling on this, I should be able to get rolling on that too. So that's kind of the plan. If I could get that stuff taken care of. Also, I know another one that some people might be kind of surprised by is I'm actually going to replace my signals over here with some showcase miniature kits. That'll probably be a little bit of time before I get to that because I have to build those kits. But I really like the CPLs. I just always have thought they were cool looking. And I really wanted to do those over here in the Sherman Junction area as well. So that's kind of what's been going on in the layout, guys. I know it's kind of a lot of nothing in a sense, but I'm just telling you all what's going on. I mean, I haven't really worked on very much over here. To be completely honest with y'all, I actually, from when I recorded the layout update in August, all the way through till when the Scale Trains SD40-2s came in, I didn't really run anything or do anything over here. So that was part of the reason I shot that Scale Trains video out, because I was actually kind of excited to come over and run something, and running those locomotives is awesome. Those were absolutely killer locomotives that came out, and I'm sure I'll throw a picture in right here as well. I did pick up the other two CSX ones because they were too damn nice, so I ended up picking them all up. But anyway, let's head over to the workbench and I'll show you what's been going on over there. There's actually some progress over there, so I got a little bit more to show. All right, everyone, so we're over here at the workbench now. We're going to take a little look at some locomotive projects I've been messing with here. So for starters, we have this Athearn Ready to Roll ST40. This is actually one of the ones that Conrail rebuilt into an ST40-2, an ST40-2R, I believe is what they were put down as. But I actually picked this model up on eBay a few years ago. And it had some of the detail work done already. It was already renumbered. It also had the white sill stripe added. So I'm just going back now and I'm adding some little, like that little cab vent there. I got to add ditch lights. And I'm going to add Loke Sound V5, Keep Alive, the whole deal to it with all my lighting stuff as well. But this was just kind of a project I kind of wanted to do. I kind of had the itch to do. Kind of a more simple project. So this is one of the ones I'm working on right now. Hopefully this will be on the layout by the end of the month. Shouldn't have too much weathering or anything. It'll just be a light weathering coat and stuff. But there won't be a video on this one because, as I mentioned, like all the like marker weights and everything were already done before I got it. So I didn't really want to make a video on something that was halfway done already. And then also, some of you might remember this from earlier this year. This is a another Athearn Ready to Roll SD40. This is a CSX one. And this one I'm working on changing and redoing into one of the CSX rebuilt SD40-2s. As you can see, we got the ditch lights on the front of it. This one I had to do a lot of work to because this is one of the early run SD40s from Athearn where the shell is kind of primitive. As you can see here, I had to cut out the little battery box slot by hand, which was kind of a pain. But this one there will be a build video on. I started it back in like January, February of this year. And I only got so far with it before I just put it off to the side. And I think I was working on the slugs in its place because that was just kind of what I was in the mood for. So I'm bringing this project back and hope to have this wrapped up by the end of the month. The build video on it probably won't be out until January-ish. This is going to be a pretty long one because there's just a lot of stuff like opening the cab doors, doing our number boards, adding all the front detail, adding some truck detail and all that. So this will be kind of a, hopefully it'll be out in January. I gotta look to see where it is in the list of projects to see. And then after that, I didn't work on the slugs this month. I kind of just had the itch to do some stuff to kind of do some easier stuff. So first up here, we have some, what I'm going to call out of the box modeling a little bit here. And this is actually a Scale Trains SD40T-2. This is one of the long nose ones from the recent run. And I basically just wanted to do a few miles where all I had to do was weather them. So that's what we're doing here. Just to, you know, really light weathering with some little bit of scuffage down here in the truck. We got one door on the long hood that's starting to chip the paint away on and stuff. But really just some simple stuff I felt like working on where I wasn't having to dive too much, like doing a whole bunch of wiring and rebuilding and stuff. We also have a C39-8 from Scale Trains. Again, just simple weathering stuff. Nothing too crazy. No adding lights and doing a bunch of fancy stuff. Just, you know, nice, easy stuff. This one's almost done, as you guys can kind of tell here. It's just kind of got to do, really with this one, I just got to peel the tape off the windows and number boards and everything. I just clear coated it yesterday. And then the next unit we have here is the first of the Scale Trains SD40-2s from the recent run last year that I did some weathering on. Now, this one here, we had a little bit of a problem yesterday, and I made a bit of a stupid mistake. I had some cans of clear coat laying around that I thought were Tester's Dull Coat. Because I thought I had 1 or 2 cans left still sitting around. I was kind of saving them to use on locomotives and stuff. And I got them out and I used them on this one. As you guys can kind of see here. See how it's kind of glossy? It was actually gloss coat. So I'm kind of at a bit of a point here. I'm not sure what I want to do. Whether I want to take this out and put another coat of clear on it and use like a flat clear coat. I'm not totally sure just yet. I'll probably end up doing that, but I might leave it glossy. I haven't decided yet. But that kind of brings me to my question here for you guys. Any of you out there that do weathering and stuff, what are you guys using for clear coat these days? I've always used the Krylon Crystal Clear is the stuff I generally use, but I've had kind of mixed results with it. Sometimes it gets kind of, you guys can kind of see like how it gets a little texture kind of thing going on. I've had a little bit of trouble with that. That was part of the reason I wanted to use the testers on this. And I don't know what to use right now. I gotta do a little looking around. So if I'll ask all of you out there what you guys use, you guys could tell me down below. Because the other thing is, I also was using a clear coat from Scale Coat that you can't get anymore, and I'm almost out of that. So I need to find a good replacement for it. Now, next up here are the 2 SD70s. These are almost done. I just have to do some of the final, do all the window clean off and number boards and that stuff, and then these will be good to go and run finally. So I could finally finish that video and get that out to you guys probably in December is what it's looking like right now. And then here's the one, the 2569 will be the one you guys actually see in a video of me building. This unit, as you guys can tell, these are pretty clean. There's a little road grime down here, but nothing too much. Just pretty simple, pretty clean. Really nothing over the top here, but that's pretty much going to wrap it up for what I've been up to at the workbench for the last couple months. I've been kind of taking it a little bit easy. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and obviously, as I always say, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but that's just kind of the way it goes. I kind of just wanted to take a step back here for a month or two and just not do like super involved projects for a change, because those super involved projects just take forever doing all the lighting and stuff. So that was kind of where like these here were supposed to be kind of simple, and they ended up being a bit complicated with all the little step lights and stuff. So coming up in the future here, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do next for a build. I might dive into a pair of Overland brass units. I might possibly do another GP38-2 and a B23-7. I haven't fully decided just yet, guys, but I will be starting on another project probably in December. I'll be starting some new locomotives once I get these all done. I'll also note my freight car builds. You guys haven't seen any freight car builds in a while, and that's because I haven't really done any of those either. I've just kind of taken a little time away from doing freight car builds, and I actually currently have a pile of ready-to-roll kind of freight cars, like the Tangent, scale train stuff that I'm kind of just going to do some simple builds on, just simple weathering and running stuff. So those I hope to start on this month, as well as possibly doing some more signal builds and stuff. So we'll see what happens. That's kind of the goal. As it stands right now, I should have the Rapidos C36-7s in next week, which will be the first week in November. That video should be out by Thursday or Friday of next week, I'm hoping, provided those come in this weekend. So you guys will have that to look forward to. And I believe that's about it. So as always, guys, I want to thank all of you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, that whole jazz. I always appreciate every one of you. It's what keeps me doing these videos, because it's a lot of work, actually, filming stuff and editing and doing all that. I hope to have, I believe it'll be the Ather and Genesis 2.0 AC 4400, the CSX number 1 and number 17 build videos will be out hopefully this month, by the end of the month. Those are pretty simple, so that shouldn't take me forever and a day to weather or to edit. For those of you that saw the Atlas C40-8 video, that video literally took, I want to say, 8 or 9 hours worth of editing to edit that together, and it still ended up being 2 hours long. So I appreciate all of you that watched that one all the way through. That was a lot of work to edit that video, but I kind of went down that rabbit hole with editing, where you kind of start editing and it just keeps getting more and more and more. So that one kind of turned into a bit of a saga, but what are you going to do? But other than that, I think I'm going to leave you guys here with a short clip of a CSX train I caught, because I've been trying to catch some videos of trains when I'm out and about at work, actually. And I finally managed to catch one, so I'll kind of throw that in here. Hopefully you guys don't roast me on my horrible railfan video attempt, but I tried, and I tried. That's all I can do. As always, everyone, I want to thank you all for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that fun stuff. Like I said, not as much as I wanted to show you this month, but it is what it is. But hopefully we'll have some cool things coming up here next month, and I'll see you guys in the next video.